Welcome to Voodoo Whiskey Gaming, and this is the late review of Telltale Games Game of Thrones. I played it on the PS4. Yes, I'm aware that it came out episodically and that I could have reviewed each episode. I just hate playing these games episodically. It's mostly the waiting for like months in between episodes. I'll start where I always start, and that's with the story. In this game, you follow a lesser-known household, well, one that I've never even heard mentioned in the show, and they are the Forresters. Throughout the game, you play as pretty much every son or daughter apart from two. You even play as like a cousin from House Tuttle who is like squiring for them. There's a lot of characters that you play as, and you bounce between their stories throughout, which helps it feel more like the Game of Thrones show. The writing in this game is really strong, the story is really good. There are, however, times where the writing is not as good, and it's really noticeable because it doesn't feel as well written as, say, the show that it's supposed to be a part of, more or less. But overall, like I said, they did a really good job making it feel like this was going on in the same world as the show. I do have some complaints with the story, like, there are a few characters that they come off as dicks, and you don't get the backstory like you would in the show. So they really generally just feel like dicks for the sake of being dicks. Which feels like lazy writing to me, just for those characters, because they're dicks simply to move the story in the direction that the writers want it to go, without any real reason for being that way. Unfortunately, included in my story section is also my biggest complaint with this game, and a slight tangent. I feel like Telltale has always done a really good job of making you feel like your decisions have mattered, like they've helped really shape the story. In The Wolf Among Us, your decisions were based on morality. In The Walking Dead, they're based on survival. And in Borderlands, they're based on a bit of both. But in Game of Thrones, it felt like my decisions didn't really mean shit. And I felt that way pretty consistently throughout the game. I even replayed certain sections just to see if different choices would really make a difference, and they rarely did. It makes the game feel like it'd be a great spin-off series from the show, but that my interaction is completely unnecessary. Okay, so on to the sound, which for the most part was really well done. I ran into a couple of small problems where sound effects didn't quite match up with what I was seeing, but totally forgivable. The voice work is fantastic, which is absolutely paramount in a story-driven game. If the actors aren't doing a good job, you can't buy into the story, and when a game relies so heavily on the story like this, well, it would suffer intensely. One of the best parts about the voice acting is that when a character from the show appears in the game, they're voiced by the actual actor from the show. When Marjorie Tyrell is on the screen, it's actually Natalie Dormer. That's awesome! Things like that are a huge plus. As for the gameplay and controls, it's your standard Telltale fare. It's an interactive narrative, you get to wander around a bit, explore a few things, you press circle, square, or X to choose what you're going to say. And in the action sequences, it's press X to not die. Not necessarily X, but, a button. As for the graphics, Game of Thrones keeps up the same cel-shaded style that has been in pretty much all Telltale games. But this time with a twist. The backgrounds looked like they were done in watercolors, which at first I didn't like. It felt like everything was just kind of blurry, but it really grew on me, and I found that I really enjoyed it, and I felt like it added to this game. I don't think it would work in all Telltale games, but it really works in the Game of Thrones series. I will say that I ran into a massive graphical glitch near the end, and it was really unfortunate because it was horrendously distracting, and it was during the climax, and, well, it really kind of shit upon the climax. On a side note, Telltale games really need to stop doing that. Previously on blank, because it doesn't match up. You'll see scenes from the previous episode, but you'll see them without the decisions you made. I literally saw a guy get stabbed in the chest, and when I played, I didn't stab him in the chest. If they're gonna do that crap, at least have it be your decisions. At the end of the day, I will say that the story was really good and that I'd watch the crap out of it if it was a show, but as a game, I gotta say, it's worth a buy, but at a serious discount. Wait for a big sale. So in the comments below, why don't you tell me who your favorite Game of Thrones character is and if they're still alive. I don't have many left. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. And if you like what I'm doing in general, subscribe. Have a good one.